What's up, everyone? Kevin here from Skywatcher. Welcome to another What's Up Webcast. Elephant in the room. My voice is a little shot this week. This happens to me like once or twice a year. Just happened to be this week. So just give me a break. My voice is a little funky. I sound terrible, but I feel fine. So anyway, let's carry on. So welcome to the What's Up Webcast. Welcome to another episode. We do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here at the Skywatcher USA YouTube channel. Cover everything from what's up in the nighttime sky to equipment to helpful tips and tricks. And of course, at the end of the month, we have a special guest to talk about their specialty in the field of astronomy. This is going to be a long hour. Okay. So today we were supposed to talk about holiday gift ideas. And we had all kinds of cool notes and all kinds of fun stuff ready for you guys. I had all documented. And then we decided to come in and announce this really cool scope we've been working on. So all the stuff I had prepped, gone. No, actually, we're going to do the holiday gift guide after Thanksgiving. I think it's December 13th is the date we're going to air that episode. But yeah, so anyway, introducing the Skywatcher Heliostar. This has been in the works for a while and we're really excited to tell you about it. Now, this is an introduction video. We will do a full, probably much more in-depth walkthrough because the samples that we have right now are very limited. I don't even have one in my possession currently. Some of you may have heard about this scope on the internet over the last few months. The reason why you probably haven't heard about it from the US yet is because we've been very busy getting it lab tested here in the States to make sure it meets all safety requirements. So it is documented. I have the test reports. It passed. We're excited about it. And yeah, so we're here to announce it. But we will have a sample probably after the new year. There'll be more samples that are available. And hopefully we'll get to do like a live demo and show one off, maybe do some live imaging. We'll figure out some kind of cool episode and really get to show you what these scopes are made of. Like with any other episode here at the What's Up Webcast, please like and subscribe. Leave a like on a video. Lets us know we're doing a good job. If you have an idea, email us at info@skywatchusa.com and title it What's Up. You can also join our mailing list to know about any kind of sales, new products, what the webcast episode is going to be. Just go to subscribe and save at skywatchusa.com and jump on our email list. Really quick, also before we get too down the rabbit hole, we have a bunch of stuff on sale. We still have the jumbo shrimp sale. We have our ho-ho holiday savings. Lots of optical tubes are on sale right now. So if you're looking for something, and there are mounts on sale as well. So head over to our website, check it all out. There's a bunch of stuff that you can get right now. And if you want to support us a little bit more, head over to skywatcher.threadless.com and pick up some cool swag to match your Skywatcher equipment. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So the Heliostar 76HA is Skywatcher's first entry into the hydrogen alpha world of solar astronomy. Now, this telescope is really quite special. There's a lot of development in this thing that we're really quite proud of. And as someone who is a solar observer myself, I like doing solar for myself. I like doing solar for outreach. A good hydrogen alpha solar telescope or filter system, because there's a variety that you can do, is a great tool for any astronomer to have in their toolbox. I don't care who you get it from, whether it's our new scope, Daystar, Solar Scope, Lunt, Botter, whoever it is, now has never been a better time to be an astronomer. There are so many good options for equipment on the market, every single one of them deserving respect and being at this table. And we're friends with a lot of them. The people at Lunt are fantastic. People at Daystar are fantastic. And the products speak for themselves. So Skywatcher entering this playing field, I don't want to take away from our friends either. We're just a new player in the game on this particular side, but their products are equally as awesome. I own Lunt. I own Coronado. I've had Daystars. All of them are fantastic. Now, that being said, Heliostar. Heliostar is very impressive as a solar scope owner myself, and we're going to get into why. Now, just some specification. Wait, sorry, hold up. Is this? No. The thing that was behind me under the blanket, that's a completely different thing. In fact, the reason why my office in here is a total mess is because of how many things I am testing right now is ridiculous. And unfortunately, I'm under NDA and I can't tell you about a lot of these products. But I am here to tell you, as the beta tester for all this stuff, you guys are in for a treat over the next couple years from Skywatcher. There is a lot of stuff on the burners, and I really quick, because I have to do it with Heliostar too, I have to give a shout out to our engineering team. They are amazing at what they do, and really, you guys see me here as the head of, or the face of Skywatcher for the US. I am nowhere near the only person that makes this happen. Even for the webcast, you guys see me, you thank me when you see me in person. I'm flattered and I appreciate all of the kind words. But behind the scenes, we have my boss, Jeff, who you've met. We have our marketing guy, Jared. You guys know Alex. You saw him last week. We have an amazing warehouse, an extended team, and the engineering team that comes up with all of this stuff. There is a fleet of people that make this stuff happen. And I have to give a shout out to all of them for everything that they do to make the products that you guys and myself get to enjoy. And unfortunately, they will never get their limelight in person to see that a lot of the time. So I try to give a shout out to all of our team that makes this possible, because this thing right here is a team effort. Every single product that any company makes is a team effort. And I appreciate everyone's kind words, but yeah. So are the audio levels okay? My audio's, I have not touched my audio at all. It's been reset. Levels are good. Everything's okay. I promise. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. So anyway, let's tell you a little bit about the Heliostar. But yeah, the thing that was under the blanket, another very exciting scope I'm hoping to show you guys next year. But yeah, I can't tell you about that guy yet. There's like a dozen things I wish I could tell you. But if you watch here, you get to find out about him. So anyway, Heliostar 76, Skywatcher's first solar telescope, dedicated hydrogen alpha solar telescope, aperture 76 millimeter. That is a very healthy aperture size for observing the sun. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's just right. I have worked with 150 millimeter solar telescopes. They're amazing. But when you get over 100 millimeter, the seeing really dominates what you're able to resolve. When the seeing is there, there is no arguing with them. But for the majority of us, they're big and they're heavy, and you really need that kind of aperture. Now, on the other side of the coin, you have smaller aperture stuff, which is great for getting out, doing outreach, and getting your feet wet in imaging. But what you find is you probably want some more punch. So when you get into this 60 to 100 millimeter class of hydrogen alpha, that is your sweet spot. And the 76 millimeter is right in the middle of that to give you that resolution that most of us really want. It handles power, gives you full disc, but you can put Barlows and all kinds of stuff on there. But you have that resolving power because of the aperture. So 76 millimeter. Focal length is a nice 630. So you get good image scale without being too crazy. F8.3, so it's nothing too fast or extreme. And it only weighs 8.4 pounds. So it'll actually work on our Solar Quest mount. And there will be a kit, which is already in the link, I believe, up there. Those are the sales. Never mind. But you can go to our website, check out the Heliostar series. We sell the tube, and then we sell it kitted with our Solar Quest mount. This is all pre-order, by the way. And the length is 24 inches, so it's not a very big scope. And we do use a 2-inch dual-speed Crayford focuser, so you can motorize it. It's got fine focus, and it's really quite precise for you to get, dead on for when you're trying to get those really nice, sharp images. The blocker on this one is 11.5 millimeters. The filter itself is 12 millimeters, but by the time it's placed in the blocking cell, it's 11.5. If you're familiar with hydrogen alpha solar telescopes, it is a collection of solar filters that have to be put in place in order for this all to work correctly. The blocker is in the diagonal, and that comes with the telescope. Some companies offer a variety of sizes. We went with a larger size than needed, so the blocker is bigger than this telescope actually needs, but that's great because it is set up ready for imaging and larger wide-angle eyepieces if you choose to do so, and giving you a nice disk of the sun with all kinds of room to spare. Originally, this was supposed to be a helical focuser. Yeah, that got shot down really quickly. Now, one thing we are really proud of with this telescope, and if you are familiar with solar telescopes, particularly hydrogen alpha, the narrower the bandpass, the more detail on the disk of the sun you get. Normally, a standard solar telescope is about 0.7, 0.8 angstroms. You would need to add an additional filter known as the Etalon to the system to narrow the bandpass. Etalons, which I happen to have one of ours right here. This is a Heliostar Etalon. That is the heart of the hydrogen alpha telescope. It allows you to get on the band, but in order to narrow that bandpass, usually you need to have two in place. Etalons are expensive and difficult to make. So, of course, adding a second one adds cost. We are able to get a 0.55 angstrom bandpass with one Etalon right out of the box. You're good to go. So I'm going to go into detail on that in just a little bit. Now, finally, this is why it was a little bit delayed. We wanted it US tested here in the United States. It was tested by a lab that specializes in this kind of technology. So this telescope does meet the ISO 12312-2 safety standards. So it meets the specifications that need to be there in order to have safe solar observation. That was just completed and we're good to go. So we're set finally. All right, let's talk about the 76 layout. Please forgive me. I know this was a little rough and tough on the presentation, but we only have a couple samples of these floating around, and I'm not in possession of them right now. So, like I said, we're going to do a deep dive into this later, but I'm just giving you the specs and the overall layout of the scope on what to expect, so you're just aware of it. So here's our Heliostar 76 basic format right here. Up front, we have the ERF, which is also known as an energy rejection filter. Here is one right here. So that sits in front of the objective lens. Now, it does look like the telescope has a dew shield. It's fixed. It's not really a dew shield. It's just a cosmetic thing. So there's no retracting or anything like that. But there's a front-mounted ERF. The rest of the filtration sits within the tube. You've got anodized green mounting rings. We have our Trifid tuner, which I'll get to in a minute. We have our Heliostar solar finder. All of this is stock, by the way. This is exactly how you'll get your scope. Heliostar finder. Got a 20 millimeter 70 degree eyepiece, 1.25 inch. Our blocking diagonal, which has all the blocking filters inside of it. Pretty standard. Dual speed focuser and a Vixen plate. So this is all standard hardware that comes with the scope. Let's see, some questions here. Just do you know how well it would pair with a 432? It'd probably do okay. Why don't we just go to astronomy.tools then? This is what I like to use. Field of view calculator. We're imaging. We're doing the sun. This is 630. Aperture doesn't matter that much, but 76. And we're asking about a 432 sensor. 432. 432. Let's see. That's not a typo, is it? A 432 or a 462? I think it's supposed to be 462, not 432. Anyway, let me just throw this in here because I think we're asking about a 462, which is a pretty popular camera. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. So it would clip the sun at this focal length. 432. Huh. I'm not familiar with the 432. And I'm not seeing it on the list here either. Anyway, we'll see what we can do on that. But yeah. Let's see. There's a bunch of questions in here really quick. Did that one. I just need to know how it compares to a Solar Max 2 double stack. You don't even need to double stack this thing. It's ready to go out of the box at 0.5 angstrom and you're done. I have a Tucson era Solar Max 90 double stack. Phenomenal telescope. Very few telescopes I have seen level up to that telescope. I have had a number of observers look through that Coronado and say the same thing. It's probably one of the best in the world of the 90s. This was an original OG 90. This scope right here, the samples I have used are right there with it without any addition to it. So the engineers did an amazing job. Can I put this on an AZ GTI? Yes, it will fit. Does the cap thread on? No, it's a press fit, anodized green press fit cap. I'm a bit behind on HA technology. Is there an HA module that you can screw onto the back of a scope like you would? No, there's not something that you could like screw on, but if you have an existing refractor and you want like a module, you probably want to look at a Daystar cork. And if you have any questions, just call Daystar, talk to Tiffany. She's amazing. She'll be able to answer any question that you have. But yeah, if you have an existing refractor and you just want to use it for hydrogen alpha easily, and you like a module drop-in kind of thing, yeah, Daystar cork. Let's see. Okay, that's all done. Okay, so we did that. You guys saw all the fun stuff there. There's the blocker, there's the diagonal, there's all the fun stuff. Now let's get into some of the technology of this scope. So Heliostar uses what we call the Solis technology. Now, Solis is important because basically you are getting double stack performance without the need to double stack. So Solis one Etalon. So the picture that you see here is the test shot through this scope. There's not a lot of editing done to this. A little bit of layers, little bit of levels, some slight curves, but the detail that you're seeing here is pretty much what you get off the scope natively. It's quite impressive, actually. And it's amazing how uniform the samples have been across the disk of the sun. A lot of times you get banding and some weird artifacts. These have done really well. This was shot with a ZWO 174mm Mini. So there are obviously better solar cameras available, but it's cropped a little bit because there's extra field, but it did a nice job. So no need to double stack a Heliostar, which means there's no costly addition of a second Etalon and no need to have another tuner involved in the setup. You just tune it normally with its little tuner and you're done. And that's kind of something we're really proud of with the Solis technology is you don't need to worry about spending $500, $800, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a second Etalon at some point. You buy the scope, you open it up, you put it on the mount, and you're ready to rock and roll at that point. And it gives you images like this without any additional accessories. It's not too heavy for the Solar Quest. No, Solar Quest holds 11 pounds. This is 8.4. So it works quite well on a Solar Quest. Most single Etalon telescopes, also known as single stack, is about 0.7 angstroms. Usually 0.8, 0.7, right in there. They vary depending on, who you buy from. A double stack, which means you're adding a second Etalon into the system, generally is somewhere between 0.4 and 0.6 ballpark, roughly. But again, you have to pay for that. I love double stack because I like that angry looking sun that looks like it's just tearing itself apart. But double stack comes at a cost. Even something like a 40 is expensive. You're $500-$600 for a little 40 Etalon, but you can't discount that. I will stand by it. It is worth the money. If you want to get the maximum performance out of your telescope, double stacking, if that is needed, is worth it in my opinion. But it's a personal preference, but it is something when you buy your telescope, you're looking at several hundred to several $1,000s additional to get that on there. Heliostar 76 is 0.55 without any additional accessories. You're going to get that angry, detailed sun that everyone likes with one flat price and you're done and you're ready to go. Let's see. Do you connect the camera inside the diagonal, not directly to the focuser? Yes, so on a Heliostar and actually most hydrogen alpha solar telescopes, the diagonal has filters inside of it that have to be used with it to be safe. They use like blocking filters like this little guy here, where they trim off UV and IR and other things that are going on to get you onto the band and keep it clean and a good image. So generally you need to use that diagonal. Unless otherwise specified by the manufacturer, don't be switching things out for your safety. Our blocking filter diagonal uses compression ring. It's 1.25 inches, so you can use any 1.25 inches, but you can also thread off the 1.25 inch top of the blocker, which reveals T-threads. And if you want to physically thread the camera to the blocking filter, you can do that too if you want like a really secure fit for your setup. Is it too heavy for the Solar Quest? Nope, fits perfectly on a Solar Quest. Does it produce noticeable Newton rings? When I was using Barlow's, I had some problems with Newton rings. And you can clean that up with one of the tilt adjusters that you can get. But natively, I didn't have any issues with Newton rings, to be honest. It was actually quite clean. I think that's all the questions I've got in front of me right now. So anyway, so that is our Solis technology. One Etalon, double stack performance, keeps the price down, but the performance high. That's what you want. What was it? Oh, no, you didn't. T-threads? Yes. Yes, we did. Okay. All right. Another piece of technology is the Trifid tuner. Why do we call it a Trifid tuner? Well, I'll tell you why. The Trifid tuner is the heart of the telescope. It's what allows the Etalon itself to reach the hydrogen band accurately and for you to get where you want it to go. So a Trifid tuner sits inside the Etalon module. The Etalon module is the black center portion of the optical tube that you see. It has a little lever on the outside. You rotate that lever and it puts physical pressure onto the Etalon to tune it. And a little bit different than maybe other designs, our tuner is not part of the collimation lenses. Usually in a solar telescope, there are a set of collimation lenses because light has to be as close to parallel or collimated as possible to go through an Etalon without having some weird effects. So the light needs to be straight when it goes through the Etalon. And to do that on like a rear mounted system, there's a couple ways to do that. Number one, you put the Etalon in the front of the telescope before the light goes to the lens or optics and starts to focus it. Number two, however, problem with front mount Etalon is it's expensive to make an Etalon. So if you want 90 millimeter or 100 millimeter aperture, you need a 90 or 100 millimeter Etalon. It is perfectly doable. Luntz LS100F is a phenomenal filter, but you pay for it. Etalons are expensive and they're hard to produce, and the bigger they get, the more complicated it is to make. And again, you pay for it. So you can either front mount an Etalon, you could do a rear mount design like a Daystar. Daystar uses a heating solid Etalon. Ours are air-spaced, as were Coronado and Lunt. Those are all air-spaced. Daystar is a solid Etalon, and it uses heat and thermal to adjust a sheet of mica with inside the Etalon to reach the band. And that is an effective way to do it too. However, once again, the light has to be collimated in order to go through the Etalon. So a rear mount system, you need to have a very long focal length, thus the need for telecentric lenses and Barlows to get the light as parallel as possible. So that's why like a Daystar Cork has a 4.2x telecentric lens inside the housing. So it means the light is collimated for the Etalon to work correctly. The third way to do it, which a lot of the solar scopes that you're starting to see now utilize, is an internal Etalon. So light goes through the front of the telescope normally, hits the refracting lens, if we're talking a refractor, focuses the light. Midway down the tube is a collimating lens that catches that light beam and takes it from focus and straightens it. And these have to be very specifically figured to the focal length that we're talking about. So if it's f7, it needs to be ready to catch an f7 cone of light and then refocus it. So in the front there is the collimation lens that straightens the light to parallel, goes through the Etalon, and then behind that is the recollimation lens, which then recollimates you back to whatever the f ratio of the telescope is, and then continues the light down to the blocking filters and up to the eye or the camera. Certain designs like this have actually mounted portions of the tuner to one of the collimation lenses. And if it's over tightened, you can actually damage the collimation lens. Our system, the tuner and the Etalon sits within the collimation lenses, and it does not affect the collimation lens in any way, shape, or form. The Trifid tuner, which you can see inside the module here, has 3 metal vanes that hold the tuning pin to put the pressure onto the Etalon to get you on band. And yes, those do move, so there is some kind of obstruction, but it means we're not putting any kind of physical pressure or warping or doing anything to any other element in the optical system other than the one intended to receive it. So the Trifid tuner is quite nice because it keeps a nice uniform tuning, and it doesn't affect any of the collimation lenses or gives you the ability to maybe damage it, which I've done before. Let's see what's some questions here. What eyepieces are good for solar telescope? Hydrogen alpha solar telescopes usually benefit from very simple optical designs. So the simpler, the better. Less light scatter. There's already a lot of really complex optics in these telescopes. So the least amount of glass, the better. I think personally, from my own findings, the best eyepieces currently on the market for hydrogen alpha are the TeleVue Plossls. I don't know why, but they just kill it. They are awesome lenses, and they're not too expensive. The 25 millimeter is probably my particular favorite, having used them. They're well baffled, they're well coated, and the contrast is really good on the TeleVue Plossls. But any Plossl will work. You could use orthos. You could use any eyepiece that you want, quite honestly. Zoom eyepieces, I am not a big fan of. However, with solar, a zoom eyepiece I think can be quite effective as well, because it's very convenient to just have a wide range of focal lengths of eyepieces in one lens. I have a lot of friends who swear by the Botter click stops. I think they're on the Mark IV version. They're a little expensive, but you just keep that one eyepiece in the case, and it does everything from 24 to 8 millimeter. You're good to go. I don't have any zooms at the moment. I just use Plossls, and they're perfectly fine. I do really like the TeleVue Delos. Those work really well. But yeah, anything simple. It doesn't have to be some hyper wide, crazy thing. A basic Plossl works just fine. Let me get a drink really quick so I'll survive the next half hour. Okay. Do you have drawings of the scope with filters and optics where they are? I'm not familiar with solar imaging, so it's all new to me. I don't have a cutaway to show at the moment that shows how it works. But I can explain it to you. You have an ERF, the energy rejection sits in the front. There's one right there. Behind the ERF is our lens. Lens then focuses light down to the collimation lens, which is right in front of the Etalon. Tunes that light to parallel, goes through the Etalon, which is 2 pieces of glass right here. Then it goes back to a recollimating lens behind it, and then out to the blocking filter where there's 2 or 3 filters within that. So there's a lot going on in there, but I don't have a cutaway at the moment. I'm sorry. When we do our deep dive episode, probably spring when they're around, I'll try to get more of a layout for you guys. Does there need to be flats taken to take out the Etalon gradient effect? I haven't seen anything that's really needed, but I did take flats to get rid of dust and stuff like that, but it was only to get rid of dust. I didn't really have any other issues with it, but you can do all that with a lot of the solar imaging programs now, and you can do solar flats. But a lot of people are doing that with anything at this point. So anyway, that's the Trifid tuner. So that's the 2 big technologies inside of here. We have our Solis technology, which gives double stack performance with a single Etalon, and then our Trifid tuner. And we called it the Trifid because it uses 3 vanes and it looks like the Trifid Nebula. So, ta-da! Yeah, we're a bunch of nerds, aren't we? Is there a pre-order discount? There is not. You just get them at the price that they are. These will probably be coming in spring of next year, hopefully earlier. However, I would like to take a note on this because a lot of people who pre-order these are probably going to know when you're going to get it. Like I said, probably about March ballpark, maybe early April. However, each Heliostar scope is tested on the sun by our techs before it ships. So each one has been hand tested, and that becomes weather dependent. So there might be a delay, but that's because they have to meet the QC levels in order to make sure they are ready to go. So each one is hand tested to make sure when you get yours, it's awesome. Yes, we are pretty much in Solar Max now at this point. Let's see. What kind of maintenance is needed for this type of scope? That's a good question. Not much, to be honest. They are pretty much like any other telescope, particularly a refractor. There's not much that you have to do with these things. You want to be very careful about cleaning these types of filters, though. I would just take a blower bulb to blow dust off. They are hard coated, so there's going to be difficult for you to hurt anything. If there's ever any issue, you can always call us. And if you need any maintenance on it, we're happy to assist with it. But little to no maintenance on these telescopes. Nothing different than a standard refractor. If you are trying to clean it with some kind of chemical, though, be very careful. And I would recommend calling our tech support first before you do that. Accessories. This thing comes with all kinds of stuff. Other than everything I just already showed you. So first off, it's going to come in a hard case, and it's got laser cut foam inside of that case to house not only the scope, but all the accessories that this thing comes with. And there's a lot of little things in here that we've thought of to make it easier to enjoy solar observing a little bit more. And this is all what comes inside the case. There's not really anything more that you need. So you get a case. It's a hard case. There it is. It's branded. Inside, there's the scope. Comes wrapped in plastic and all your accessories ready to go fitted inside the case. This thing right here, though, is a nice addition. This is a clip-on sunshade. It actually clips onto the tube. It's got felt on there. It's easily rotatable. And this is a sunshade. So no more having to hold your hands over and shade your eyepiece or anything like that. You pop this guy on. It comes in the case as a standard accessory. It's white on the front to help reflect light back and not heat up. The prototype one was black. It got hot really quick. So production is white. So you'll get a sunshade, which helps block any of that, which is nice. That has a little slot inside of the case for it to always be with your scope. Next up, you get a 20 millimeter 70 degree eyepiece, 1.25 inches, and you get a cell phone adapter, which actually clamps to this particular eyepiece. So if you want to start taking pictures with your phone, all that is in the case, standard, ready to go. And that adapter is matched to fit on top of the 20 millimeter eyepiece that you could use visually, and you're all set. Blocking filter. It has compression rings, so it won't mar up anything. The focuser itself does not have a compression ring, but we give you a 2 inch to 1.25 inch adapter that has compression, and the blocker itself has compression. Now, if you look right here, there's a little seam that you see here. That is the T-thread. So this section right here actually will thread off, revealing the T-threads for your camera to go on if you want. Now, deep in the blocking filter, you'll see over here, there's your blocking filter with a working aperture of 11.5 millimeters. That is more than enough for 600. That means this blocker will give you a full disc view up to nearly 1150 millimeter focal length telescope. But We put it on a 630 millimeter scope. So it's basically twice the needed size for this telescope, which is great because that means you can use bigger chips, have better illumination, and have more room around the disc for when some crazy prominence fires off. So there's plenty of working aperture on the blocking filter for this size telescope. What's the image circle size? The solar disk size on this telescope is 6 millimeters. And then the working size of the blocker is 11.5, which is plenty for this type of scope. Is the blocking filter temperature sensitive to cold? Every solar telescope probably needs to heat up if it's too cold. Every single one of mine do that too, whether it's the Coronado or the Lunt. If they're kept inside, they do need to reach ambient to get the best performance. So as long as it's ambient, treat it like any other telescope. The closer it is to ambient temperature, the better your performance is going to be. But it doesn't need to be, it's not particularly one temperature. Will there be just a single aperture blocking filter, or do different apertures need to be selected based on the application, like the Lunt scopes? So blocking filters are generally used, they're required, but there's different sizes to accommodate different focal lengths. So like Coronado, you have the BF5, 10, 15, 30s. Lunt is 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, and 34. So different sizes are, the smaller it is, the more cost effective it is. The blocking filter is one of the most expensive parts of the entire telescope per its size. So the larger the blocker, the more expensive it is. Now, for most of us, the telescopes that we're using for solar are probably between 400 and 1,000 millimeter. So you would need a blocker somewhere in that range. With this telescope, we decided to give just one blocker and not have a bunch of different options. But what we did here is we actually doubled the size of the blocker to have more room to utilize a wider range of accessories. But we won't have multiple sizes at this time. We'll just have the one blocker that comes with the telescope. Because we don't sell additional etalons that adapt to scopes, and there are not other sizes of Heliostar at the moment, all we need is one size currently. So for now, it's just the 11.5 blocker. Kevin, specific question. Will you have your own YouTube channel and do tutorials? YouTube's a lot of work. I tried doing that a while ago, and I've actually thought about doing it because I go do a lot of events, and I thought it would be cool to like document taking you to private events and what I do and stuff like that. But my schedule's already really busy. I do Skywatcher. I run Focus Astronomy, which is my side gig in outreach. And then on top of that, I have a family and a wife and friends, and I need to make sure that I have enough time for the important people in my life too. And I am already as busy as I think I can be. So for now, I don't have any plans to do my own YouTube channel. I'm already busy doing this one. It's a lot of, and editing those videos, as you guys know, we're friends with Trevor and Ashley from Astro Backyard. I have talked to them in depth about doing this, and I see how much work goes into like one of Trevor's or one of Dylan's or one of Nico's videos. And if it's a 10-minute video, there's hours of work behind it. And it's not that it's not worth it, but it's a lot of work, and I have a lot of other stuff and a lot of people who want my time. So I need to be respectful of all of that, and it's hard to balance it already. Let's see. Anything special to do if attaching a camera? Nope. Just pop it in, tighten the compression ring, and go to work. There's a bunch of other questions I'm going to get to in just a sec. I just want to wrap this up before we run out of time. There's only a few things left. We do give you a nice handle on the telescope. I know a lot of people have been requesting handles for our telescopes. You might see more of this in the future, but the Heliostar does come with a handle out of the box. And riding on top of that handle is the Heliostar Solar Finder. Anodized to match the whole scope. It's all there. Got crosshairs to help you pinpoint it. It's actually pretty accurate too. So you are ready to go with this thing the minute you get it. There's not, as someone who has solar telescopes, this is one of the first scopes I've had where I really don't question it ever. I don't feel like I need anything else. I don't feel like I'm wanting anything else because it just has all of it and it performs the way you want it. So real quick, here's some test images. Here is an up close test shot using the Heliostar. This is the 174 Mini again. This is when the sun was like really rocking and rolling a few weeks ago. I think this was with a 2.5 power mate from Teleview, I think. But yeah, that's an up close shot. Here's a full disc. Really quite pleased with it. So I'm excited for these to get out in the world. So anyway, that's really all I had. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like on a video. If you have an idea for a video, email us at info@skywatcherusa.com and let us know what you'd like to see. We do need ideas for next year if you've got something up. And if you have questions, we have Andrian coming on very soon. We're recording on the 3rd of December. So if you have questions, now's the time to get them in. But that's it for this week, the Heliostar introduction. Again, we're going to go back and do a really in-depth dive on this. Probably a lot of repeat information, but an in-depth dive once I have access to the samples. Hopefully in the next week or two, I'll have one. Reminder, next week is Thanksgiving. There is no episode next week. We're taking a break, spending time with our families, and then we'll be back the week after that. But yeah, so there you go. All right, there's a bunch of questions I'm going to get to now. So let's get to this. Let's see. Anything special to do attaching a camera? Not really. It's any 1.25" based camera will work, or you can use T-threads and thread it directly to the blocking filter if you want a secure connection. By the way, saw the Wave 150 video. Very, very impressive. Carried the C14 like nothing. Appreciate it. For those who don't know, it was a little controversial. We tested an AM5 against a Wave 150 strictly for payload. That video is on the YouTube channel. You can go check it out. All it was an experiment. I had people asking me, how does this mount payload wise compare to an AM5? And I would like to say the AM5 is a very nice mount. I have friends who have them. I have one. It's a nice mount. I am not discounting the ZWO products. They're very good. But we ran a test and we did an experiment and we documented it and we put it up there. And if you want to watch it, you can go see it. Some people are upset about it. Other people think it's really cool. The Wave 150 outperformed itself by being able to throw a C14 around, loaded C14 with a camera, a reducer, an extra dovetail plate, plus a ton of counterweights. And the Wave 150 handled it. Now, I wouldn't recommend you go do it, but we wanted to do it. Please don't do it. Question, can this be used for white light? No. The Heliostars are not modular telescopes. They cannot be taken apart. You cannot remove the module. I am sure someone out there is going to do it. And if you do it, the warranty just went out the door. But no, these are dedicated solar telescopes. There's no way to add anything to them. If you want to do white light, I would recommend just getting a refractor like one of our Evo stars, or if you have one already, put a Herschel wedge or a front mounted white light filter on that and you're all set to go. But yeah, the Heliostar doesn't have that. Camera pairing recommendations. We might save that more detail for the in-depth episode we'll do next year. But yeah, a 174, the 178. There's a lot of new sensors that I'm not as familiar with that are coming out that would probably be really good for solar. You probably want something with somewhat small pixels though, because the focal length isn't very long. One of the pics on the Heliostar webpage shows 432 on it, the side-by-side rig. Okay, that's when we were in Canada. Someone was imaging with it, so we never got a shot off because we had clouds coming through. Although the view when the clouds opened was very nice, but I never saw any image come from it, like a final image. But it worked. If time permits, can you also discuss purpose uses of calcium K diagonal? I think it'd be cool if we did calcium. There's nothing I am aware of that we will have calcium. If you want calcium, go to Lunt and get one of their calcium blockers and put it on a 100 millimeter or smaller refractor and you're ready to go. You can't do that with the Heliostar. It's just hydrogen alpha, but you could easily get a Lunt blocker, a calcium blocker, and go do that. If you want to know about the purpose and a use of calcium, we have an episode from a couple years ago where we actually dive in to the major types of solar filters and discuss what you're seeing. It's actually 2 episodes. We discuss what you're seeing and we discuss how to use them. And maybe in the chat, we can find those episodes and put the links in there. But yes, we've covered that, and we did go into detail about calcium on that. Let's see. Did you go to Okitex, I assume? Will was talking a little bit about the scope. No specifics, just that you all had a new solar scope coming out. No, we didn't go to Okitex. We haven't been to Okitex. We have a lot of requests to go to Okitex, but we have a lot of requests to do a lot of events, and we have to kind of pick and choose where we go on certain things. Some people, if you got to go to Starfest last year in August, we had the prototype of the Heliostar there with a lot of people got to look through that prototype. Now we have the production samples, which are very nice. But yeah, this has been kind of been floating in the ether for a little bit, but we're finally able to really tell you about it. What camera did I use for my test images? This shot right here is my test shot, full disc. This was a ZWO 174mm Mini. I always recommend doing hydrogen alpha with monochrome cameras because you're shooting narrowband. There's not any need for you to shoot color. You're kind of wasting a chunk of the camera's capabilities, but there's plenty there if you want. Let's see. Here is in the chat. Oh, they're already doing it. Never mind. You can see in the chat there's some of the solar filter episodes that are already there. Let's see what other questions are in here. Does the type and design of lens matter for solar imaging, triplet, doublet, FPL? Not really. You're shooting one wavelength of light. You could use an achromat, which actually I believe this is an achromat. There's no need to use big, expensive ED glass in a solar telescope because you're shooting one wavelength. Now, on Lunt's telescopes, they do use ED lenses, but their design is unique because it's modular. So you're able to do hydrogen, calcium, white light, and even nighttime. So having that ED lens is actually helpful because you're shooting multiple wavelengths and you want that correction. Ours is a dedicated hydrogen alpha telescope, so there's no need to use the expensive glass. It doesn't do any benefit for what we're doing. It just raises the price higher. Can you briefly describe the Solar Quest mount? It is a alt-az mount specifically designed for observing the sun. It has sensors on board that allow it to find and locate the sun automatically without you having to do anything. You just turn it on and let it do its thing. Does the sun really look like that visually as well? It's pretty darn close. Yeah, there's a lot of it's a little brighter because obviously with cameras you can adjust the contrast and exposure and stuff like that. So some of the details are a little bit brighter, but a lot of the detail that you saw in that image is pretty well defined by the eye as well. It's actually quite impressive. What is a used Coronado 60, Solar Max 60 going for these days? Think of a down payment. Is it a Gen 1? A Gen 2? A Solar Max 1, or the Tucson era of Coronados, those are very, very nice telescopes. Depending on what blocker and if it's double stacked, Solar Max 60 Tucson era, I would say $1,000, maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe I've seen them go for about $800 to $1,500 depending on the format. Solar Max 2s are kind of all over the place. Again, depending on what the variation of the telescope actually is. Is it double stacked? What's the blocker size? Astromart and Cloudy Nights are your friends if you want to sell some stuff. Lots of good questions. Oh, it's a Gen 1. Email me. I like the old Coronados. If you want to sell it, I'd be kind of curious what you're willing to let it go for. I like the Solar Max 1s. I have a 90. The 60 is a really nice telescope. The 40s are really nice. And if you are not aware, there is a very, very rare, very few of them, Gen 1 Coronado Solar Max 140 Etalons. I have only seen one in person, and I don't know how many were made. They're freaking huge, and they're heavy. I mean, it is a chunk of something. Again, I've only seen one. I didn't get to look through it. I just saw it in the case, and it was like, yeah, that's awesome. Maybe a silly question. Do we need a dew shield for this? Probably not. I mean, it wouldn't hurt if you put like an additional dew shield on it, but usually during the day, the sun's out. You've got a lot of evaporation happening. If you would like a dew shield just to keep dust and fingerprints off of it, you could probably put a little dew shield, like a flexible one, or if you know someone with a 3D printer, you could print one if you wanted to, but there's really no advantage to it other than, just keeping little fingers off of the ERF lens, if you want to. That was a lot of talking. So, let me make sure. We've only got 2 minutes left, so if you've got your questions, now's the time to do it. Again, these will be available for pre-order if they're not already. Check with your favorite dealer here in the States or in Canada, wherever you're at. You can put a pre-order in. These are going to take some time for you to get. So please be a little patient and realize you're probably not going to see it until March or April of 2025. Crossing our fingers, we get some a little early, but just be prepared that it's going to take some time to get them. Once they're here and they start shipping, it's going to be a little easier, but the initial shipments, please be patient. These are very specific telescopes, so there's a lot of effort that goes into these things. So you're getting something pretty top quality. And probably field flatness is also relevant. Actually, you would be surprised that a flat field is quite helpful for doing the sun. This one's pretty well corrected, though. I didn't have a lot of complaints on it. It is f8.3, so it's not crazy extreme. Is it a solar scope only, or can be used as a normal telescope? No, this is a solar telescope. It is a one-trick pony. If it's cloudy outside or rainy or it's nighttime, it's a beautiful paperweight. Great for your desk. If you need a 24-inch long, 8-pound paperweight. But during the day, it is a powerhouse of a telescope. I have an Isle of Man ASP 60 with a BF 30. That's an old school filter right there. That's probably a pretty good setup. Let's see. Will you have out stock? Wait, I'm sorry. will you have out of stock situation if buying later next year? I hope not. I hope we just have inventory once we have them start coming. It really depends on how popular they are. If you want to know more about the price and stuff like that, you can go to our website, skywatchusa.com. Products, they're right under here under Heliostar, our solar telescope. So we'll have more pictures coming soon. Oh, my camera's off. But you can go to our website. They're live right now. You cannot pre-order through our website. You need to go through dealers. All the information we have right now is up there. And if you want to buy it as a kit, we are offering it with the Solar Quest mount. If you want a completely turnkey system ready to go. But the first shipment I would not expect until early spring 2025. Again, hopefully earlier, but probably March or April is when the first people will get them. We'll see what we can do. Again, these are individually tested on the sun. We have to make sure we have the weather for them to make sure they're good. But yeah. But hopefully once they start shipping, I'm hoping we won't be out of stock. I mean, they're about $3,000. They're not cheap, but for what you're getting, it's a pretty good price for a 76 millimeter 0.55 angstrom bandpass hydrogen alpha solar telescope. That's pretty good. That's several $100s cheaper than something else to a couple grand cheaper if you try to retrofit competing telescopes to the same specs. So, and it will be at NEAF. So come by and see it. Skywatcher will be outside, weather permitting. We will have these at NEAF. I'm hoping to have a few of them at NEAF for you to actually look and try out. So if you're coming to NEAF, stop by, say hi, check it out. We'll probably have one at the booth. I would like to have 2 or 3 of them outside. Our buddy Steven Ramsden from the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project will also be there representing, flying the green colors now. So yes, this is a Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project endorsed telescope. They've already tested it. But yep, there it is right there. If you're not aware of them, go check them out. They're the largest solar astronomy outreach program in the world. We've worked with them as well as some other big names to make sure that this telescope performs the way it needs to be, and also that it needs to be safe. Final question. Only a 76 millimeter version? For now, hopefully not. But yeah, for the time being, all I have to tell you is a 76. I'd love to do other sizes. We've had conversations about it, but for the time being, 76 will be the only Heliostar. Hopefully there'll be a family later on, but for now it's just this. I literally don't have, there's nothing else here. It was hard enough getting this guy off the ground. Maybe in the future there'll be more, but for now 76 is the only one. So, okay, I can barely talk now, and I'm going to go. So, thank you all for watching. This has been a really, really great episode. For everyone here in the U.S., because our Canadian friends celebrate Thanksgiving at a different time, please have a safe Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time. We have tons of stuff on sale right now if you're looking to do it. But yeah, please have a safe holiday. We will see you guys next month. Again, no webcast next week. We're off. We're spending time with family, hanging out, probably spending money on things that we shouldn't. Guitars, fish tanks, kid gifts. So, but yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all of us here in the U.S. Thank you all for watching. Very thankful for everyone who does it. Big thanks to all of our team for making this scope happen. And yeah, looking forward to showing you guys these in person very, very soon. So clear skies, everyone. Take care. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you guys in a couple weeks. Anyway, so clear skies. See you later, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.